Welcome back to our special preview show for the Longines HKIR Turf World Championships. We're up to the mile is next, and Beauty Generation looking for a three-peat in the big one as well. John Moore, Zach Purton, he'll jump from barrier 5. INDY champ for Japan, Damien Lane from 3. Persian Knight, another Japanese runner, Oshie Murphy in the saddle. Waikuhu, who knocked off Beauty Generation last time out. Zaki for Sir Michael Stout. Kaiying Star, Simply Brilliant. Citron Spirit, and then 2 more for Japan. Admire Mars and Nomcor. Christophe Lemaire will ride Nomcor, the 4-year-old filly. She'll jump from barrier number 9. But the big story here is Beauty Generation. Can he bounce back from his last 2 defeats?
What a remarkable season it's been. Another incredible racing story. A second Champions Mile and a coveted crowning glory. He's idling at the moment, Beauty Generation. Rise High and Waikuku, they run to him. They run past the champ. His winning run has come to an end.
He looked, especially in the last run, very flat. When entering the straight, he didn't have that burst of speed that just lets him put lengths in the field, and then they just can't run him down.
Spoiler alert, Waikuku's driving through underneath. The favourite is against the ropes. Beauty Generation taken over by Waikuku, who dashed away.
This year obviously there's a few question marks over him, but he hasn't been getting beat far. He's had little excuses. You know, if things pan out well for him, you know, we hope he can do it again.
He will go out on the weekend, on the 8th, exactly his best winning weight. And there are a few other things that we tweaked. He galloped yesterday, Romain came back, the work rider, and he was full of praise for the work. He believes that he is back to his old self, and that he will be a force to reckon with in the race.
Well, it's the fairy tale, Neil, isn't it? It's the Hollywood ending after being sort of knocked around, battered a bit, and he gets up off the canvas and wins again, Beauty Generation. But being cold and hard about it, do you think he can?
Sounds like a bit of a Rocky movie.
Does,
talking about Andrew. Look, you know, he has kind of just taken a couple of knocks the last 2 runs, but you know, there's no better man than John Moore to be able to prep these horses coming into these big races. And I think if the corner's going to be turned, it's going to be this one. I think he can step back up and get back into the winner's zone.
And conditions do favour him more this weekend, Brittany. They have in the previous 2 starts running in handicaps. But it's just a question of whether that's enough this time.
Well, if you're talking to John Moore, he thinks that he's figured him out. A lot having to do with his weight, and he thinks his weight is more on point for this race than it was the 2 prior races. And if age means anything, I don't know if it does to Beauty Generation, because he still acts like a 2-year-old, very cantankerous. So perhaps it is another time for a horse to get a 3-peat in these races, and what an incredible campaign this horse has had. He owes them nothing. But I agree with Neil. I think perhaps it could be a time to turn around.
Tactics, Graham, have been key on his last 2 starts and 2 defeats as well. So what do they do now? Because Kaiying Star's drawn inside him, will probably try and lead. Do they change their game plan? Do they try and do something different?
It's very interesting. I don't think Kaiying Star is going to want to give up that lead. We know that Beauty Generation is pretty versatile. He can sit just off the pace. But we will know in 2 seconds early in the straight when Zach says, let's roll. And if he breaks clear, we'll know that the revival is on. But if he can't break clear, just like last time, Neil, we'll know that he's not quite the same horse he used to be. Zach Purton subbed it up quite nicely. He said, the alarm bells are ringing now, and I think they are. I'd dearly love to see it, but I'm not confident.
Because he's normally won the race coming into the straight, hasn't he? They're all in trouble, but the last 2 starts, Rise High and Waikuku, just ran straight past him, albeit getting lots of weight. And Waikuku again last time looked to be travelling the better and just picked him up and ran straight past.
Yeah, but if, you know, I look back over those last 2 races of his quite a few times, and, you know, you say like on the handicap system that he was running under, but if you look at the way the races were run and how they unfolded, like the last time, okay, it was a little bit drastic, and Zach kind of had to make sure that he had clear running. But the way the races were run and unfolded, I just think it just wasn't, it was a little bit against his own natural kind of style. And like Graham's right, you know, he doesn't have to lead. And, you know, you can see that the Kaiying Star's drawn 1. And if he does lead, well, then Zach will just roll forward and sit outside him. And like Graham says, at the top of the straight, if he lets him go, like the last time he only found a half a length, but if he finds 2 lengths this time, they won't be getting past him, and I think he can.
I think there's something to be said about a champion showing up on the big day, and perhaps that's exactly what it's going to take for Beauty Generation.
Waikuku, if it was a handicap, would be getting 12 pounds. It's not, but is he still improving? Has he got enough improvement in him to go again?
Well, it's classic size model. It's not spectacular improvement, but it is, just by incremental measures. And don't forget, he's beaten Beauty Generation 2 out of 3 times this season, and he's beaten him on the last 2. So I think he definitely needs to take another step forward. The ratings will tell you that. But he's bound to be on the premises. I think in terms of your Quinellas, Trios, etc., he has to be on those lists.
What about the Japanese horses? There's a bit of a buzz about Indy Champ. Certainly the form looks outstanding. You know, the 2 Group 1 wins coming into this, and the Japanese, whenever they travel, whenever the horses they bring here are generally the right ones.
Yeah, and they're always like rock hard. You know, they're so tough, and you know, he's going to have a good draw. He's got Demi Lane, who's had a lot of success on Japanese horses recently. So, yeah, look, his form is good, but he's got to travel to come to the backyard of the champion.
The echoes of 2015 are uncanny with that horse. Abel Friend was a vulnerable superstar at that point. A horse from Japan came. That horse had won the Yasuda Kinen and the Mile Championship. That was Morris or Maurice. This time, Indy Champ is coming to take on a vulnerable John Moore superstar, and he won the Yasuda Kinen and the Mile Championship. It's a very, very spooky sort of coincidence.
And the other 2 Japanese runners, Brittany Admire Mars, a Group 1 winner at 2 and 3, and Nomcor the filly. We don't get too many fillies going in the mile.
I thought Admire Mars has looked fantastic on the track. And when we talk about the track works as well, when I first got here, it wasn't a turf work for Indy Champ, but he looked great, had a really strong impression. But then we all noticed the other day when he actually had his turf work, looking at something, head was tilted to the right. Perhaps that's just him, so I'm not sure whether or not it's something to read into. I mean, Neil, would you, in a morning work, read into something like that?
Well, I suppose he's coming to a different country. He hasn't been here before, has he? So there's a lot of presence around here, you know, with the big screens and a lot of international press and photographers. So maybe he's just having a look around, and I wouldn't really look into that too much.
But one standout horse, I thought, total price, but Zaki, if I'm saying that correct, for Sir Michael Stow, really caught the eye the other day.
Yeah, he needs to improve, I think, on what he's done so far. If you take a line straight through Ben Battler, we know on the international form lines. But is the comeback on, Graham? Who will you be with then in the mile?
Well, first point to make is, will his adoring public stay with him? Beaten at 1.3 and 1.3, where does the patience wear thin? My summing up of the race is the champ's on deck, Beauty Generation, but there's another champ in town from Japan, and Indy Champ is dangerous to my mind.
All right, so Brittany, what are you thinking?
Quirky in the morning or not, I'm with Indy Champ as well.
And Neil, again, given the free choice, would you go with the champ?
Given the choice, I think I would. If you look at the ratings, you know, he's still the highest rated miler in the world. And then Indy Champ probably closest to him on ratings, and then the ratings quite drop off after that. But look, Indy Champ will probably give him something to, he might serve it up to him, but like Graham says, if he turns in, finds that length or 2, they won't be getting near him.
That's the potential moment of the day, isn't it? All the crowd sense it at the same time, and all of a sudden the doubts go, and you know whether it's yes or no. One way or the other, it's going to be a fantastic race.
Yeah, could you imagine this place, though? Coming down to the wire, Beauty Generation does have a shot. It will erupt.
It's the story that the race needs from a neutral perspective. It's the narrative, isn't it, for him to come back?
Yeah, because he's the horse who's made Hong Kong racing's name ring around the world for the last couple of years, and it's showtime on Sunday, and it's going to be terrific.
That's Beauty Generation, then his defence of the mile, looking for the three-peat, of course, as well. Glorious Forever's looking for his defence of the Cup, but after the break, we'll see if Magic Wands can go back in again after winning in Australia last time then.